Okay, as much as I know you want to get started with painting something real, we're actually going to just cover a few watercolor techniques first. And I'm just going to get my palette ready. I always spritz it with water first. I have 2 water containers here. I have them full enough that I can clean my brush easily, but not so full that it gets the whole ferrule wet. There are times, usually I'm holding my brush a little higher up the shaft, but there are times when I want to hold it down here, and it's no fun if that metal ferrule is moist and slippery. What I want to talk about right now is just a little bit about my colors, and I showed you in the last video one of my beginner palettes, which is right here, and I want you to notice something about the colors in this palette, and the colors in this palette as well. Actually, this is my everyday palette. It's got a few extra colors, but it is basically the same as this palette here with just a couple additions. What I want you to see is there is no black and no white paint in this palette, and it really bugs me when I see watercolor sets for sale that include black and white, and here you've got 12 tubes of color or pans of color, and you've got kind of been just ripped off because you do not need black and white to paint in watercolor. And most professional watercolor artists, at least those using transparent watercolor, do not use black or white. And I'm just going to show you why. First of all, I do have a black paint. I bought one tube once upon a time, and it's sitting here never getting used and taking up valuable space in this small palette over here. And I want you to see, just gonna grab it. Okay, so there's black. Very dark, very flat. Black feels like a dead color when you're talking about watercolor. And of course I can add water and make that into gray, and it bleeds down. And that is why we don't use white, because our water is our white. Anytime you want to lighten a color, let's use this quinacridone magenta for example. If I want to lighten my quinacridone magenta, I just add water to it. And I can go all the way to really just a faintest hint of pink. I can mix it in my palette, the little quin magenta, with water in the palette and then apply it to paper, or I can do it right on my page like you just saw me do. And so here's my black, and this is Lunar Black from Daniel Smith. It's a very granular color, which means you can see all the little texture pigments there. And so that's why I bought it, is for the texture and not for the color so much. But what I like to do is if I'm going to be painting something that needs to be black, black is almost never black. Black is usually got hints of color. If you're looking at dark shadow trees, for example, you're going to see maybe violet in there. It's going to be a cool color. Maybe it's going to be purpley blue. Here I'm mixing Payne's Gray and Perylene Scarlet, I believe that is, and that gives me a warm black. And by using mostly pigment and less water, I'm going to get it darker, and by layering additional layers of that color. So that's Payne's Gray is as dark as you're going to get to black without let's see here, without actually owning black. And Payne's Gray, and I'm going to pull those colors down so you can get a look at them a little bit better. Payne's Gray is a blue tone. As you can see, it's almost got a navy indigo look to it. And then by mixing Payne's Gray with that Perylene Scarlet, that's how I got this warmer black. So I've got a cool black and a warm black. Another color you can use is I have this Perylene Green, and any dark green mixed with red will also make a black, and you just have to vary your proportions. And that's a greenish black, which would be excellent for maybe a bird feather. And so what I want you to see is that we get a lot more interesting darks by mixing color than by just trying to use black straight from the tube. and it really does look amateurish to use straight black in a watercolor. I want you to try to train your eye to see the complexity in colors, that black isn't just black. It's going to be violet, it's going to be blue, it's going to be red. It can have so much in it. And just like, oh, I don't know, chrome isn't actually chrome, it's it reflects everything around it. So if you were painting chrome, you would be painting actually what the chrome is actually reflecting. Same with cut glass or crystal or whatever. So I want you to start to learn to see the color rather than just assume that you know what color something is. And just like I used two different colors to create these great dark tones, whenever you're mixing complementary colors, you're going to get a neutral. So that means red and green are opposite each other on the color wheel. So when I mix red and green, it makes a fascinating brown. And that's one that has a bit more red in it. If I were to green it up a little bit, it's going to be a little bit cooler. A little more red. Whoops, too much. And that's just two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. If I mix yellow and violet, I get another neutral, and that's more on the yellow end, so we'll add a little more violet, and still a little yellower than I want. And you can see again, muddy neutrals, and this is a really good way to make interesting browns. And the other opposite on the color wheel would be blue. I'm trying to find a clean spot to do this. And already you can see my water is getting very murky, and it's almost time to change this water here. Mixing blue and orange, and that's a little bit on the oranger side. A little more blue to it. And that makes a little bit purpley. And so again, it's a little more on the purple side, I think, because this blue has a little more red in it. And another great way to make a neutral is by mixing cobalt blue and burnt umber. And then I start to get a gray. Let's see, maybe a little more brown on that one. And if I add a little more blue, I get a blue-gray. So instead of using black to make gray, I'm going to mix it using complementary colors. And you can see here I've used no brown at all, no gray at all. I've used red and green, yellow and violet, and blue and orange, and blue and burnt umber, which is kind of an orangey brown. So that gives you an idea of some of the fun we're going to have in watercolor. In this class and in my other classes, I talk extensively about mixing colors. It's one of the things I love most about watercolor. And I don't just mix in my palette like you saw me do here, but right on the paper. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to demonstrate that in my next lesson, and you're going to have a lot of fun with this. And so yeah, throw that black and the white away. Don't want you to rely on them. There is a place for white, I guess. If you've completed a painting and you need something to be white, you might want to put a few dots of white for snowflakes, or to bring out a white that you forgot to paint around in your original painting. But otherwise, you're not going to be using black or white, not in my classes.